everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sue of Bendnstretch with Sue. In today's video, I'd like to talk to you about taking care of your shoulders, some shoulder therapy. But before we get started, a quick shout out to a YouTube friend of mine, Kirsten Quick Fit. Her channel is a strong supporter of this channel, and she has some amazing workouts. They're very energetic, they're sure to get your heart pumping and to get you good and strong. She also occasionally shares some spiritual messages as well that are very inspiring. So I'd advise you to go check it out. I'll have her channel linked down below so that you can explore it further. Now, as we get started, we're going to need a few tools today. Yoga block, if you have one available, would be awesome, as well as a couple different sizes of therapy balls. Now, last week I talked about taking care of the shoulder, although it could be used throughout the entire body with massage cupping. Now, the therapy balls are another alternative that you can use, and if you don't have them available, you might want to use a lacrosse ball, a couple of tennis balls, even a sock that can mimic the actual therapy balls. But the difference is that these are somewhat grippy, and they do have, although some resistance, they have a bit of give to them. So it makes it really ideal for getting into that deep tissue and recreating what a massage therapist would do. Now, a yoga strap will also be handy. As we explore the shoulders, I'm only going to be demonstrating one side today, but you would apply this to both sides. You'll probably want to start with your dominant side. Our shoulders are so crucial. They are the joint that has the most mobility in our body. We can do so much with them. There's actually 4 joints within the shoulder joints. We've got the 3 major bones of the clavicle, the collarbones, the humerus of the upper arm, as well as the scapula, and a whole host of muscles that help us to have abduction, adduction. They help us to have internal rotation as well as external rotation. We have some circumduction as we circle right around in both directions. And it just goes on. Our shoulder blade allows us to elevate, to depress it, to also externally rotate and internally rotate. And I'm sure I've forgotten a few along the way, but it just gives you an idea with so much that can be done with the shoulder, how much area there is for something to go wrong with it. So taking care of them, taking those shoulders, and keeping them in tip-top shape is crucially important for your posture, for your day-to-day activities that you're doing, as well as they even help, having that proper posture will help you with proper detoxification of your body, proper breathing. So let's get started with a checkpoint here. We're going to begin with using the strap. And if you've been watching my channel for some time, you may have seen a few months back I did a video on shoulder flossing, which is really, really good for getting the joints lubricated. But using a strap or a belt, you want to have a far enough grip where it's comfortable for you to hold, and you're opening through the chest here, and you're also sliding the shoulder blades down the back. While you do this, you want to maintain a neutral spine so that you do have your shoulder blades anchored, your core is slightly engaged, powerhouse is on. Taking an inhale to bring those arms up and exhaling to bring them down. Now, as you do this, you want to prevent your ribs from flaring out as you lift up and bring them over, because that would cause you to arch your back, which would bring more pressure in the back. And we definitely want to avoid this. We want to isolate this to the shoulder movement. Now, as you do the flossing, as we begin, take time to sort of take stock, to observe what you are coming into this with, and then we'll use this as a benchmark so we can check in later to feel the full effect of our work. Now, we set the strap aside for now, and I'm just going to move my hair out of the way here so that as we begin working the upper back, we're going to use the balls in the tote. so that we have a framing of the spine on both sides here. So we want to have the balls on either side of our spine. Now you could do this up against a wall if you feel that there's way too much sensation going on. So that's the beauty of this, is you can tailor how much pressure you apply by whether you're using the wall or you're using the floor. Now, bringing the bend to the knees, I'm going to take the balls and, again, as I mentioned, framing the spine here, I'm taking them about down to the bottom of my shoulder blades, and I'm simply going to lay back. Now, cupping the head between the hands here is going to give some support so the neck isn't strained at all. And I'm going to lift the hips up to roll my way up to the upper back tops of the shoulder blades, and then working my way slowly back down again. So I'm going to begin today demonstrating, or I'm going to do the whole demonstration on my left side, and you will probably want to use this demonstration or this session on your dominant side to start with, and then recreate it on the other side if you're doing it along with me. Now, as you move this up and down, you may find that there's quite a bit of sensation. Again, if it's too much, just come up, do it against the wall, and that way you'll be able to control to have less pressure coming down onto the tissue. So from here, I'm going to work my way back up one last time. And you could stop if you like. If you find that there's trigger points, you could stop there and just add a little bit of rocking with a slight turn as well from side to side, bringing your bottom ribs toward the same side hip as an option, or simply rock side to side and then move along to another spot. So there's plenty that you can do. Now from here, I'm going to move on to my left side. I'm using the left side because I have a wall on the left. I prefer to do my right, but make it a little bit more visible for you. That way I'm not rolling into the curtains on the other side. So as you take the ball, I'm going to now use the block, which elevates it, makes it a little bit easier for me to show you, and a little bit more accessible than coming all the way down on the floor as well. But if you're able to come down to the floor, I'm going to start, we're going to target the seam of the lats here. So this is right from the underarm, moving right between the front and the back. So right in the middle, and I'm going from the underarm, working along the side, right to the base of the ribs. So right at the waist area is where I'm going to finish. So starting up at the top and allowing my weight to press into that ball as much as is comfortable. Now I can do a little bit of release into the ball, maybe a little bit of back and forth, side to side. And from there, I can start to move the ball down a little bit more. And I'm just gently moving my body up and down here. I can also rock it from side to side. I might also enjoy doing a little bit of zigzagging along that seam, and just continuing to observe what I'm sensing, resting and stopping where I need to, and massaging where it feels best. And from here, I identify the areas that might need a little bit more work. Now this area is where our shoulder blade and the muscles that wrap around the lats, the serratus anterior, and they attach. You've got the pectorals coming into here as well. So if you're doing this on your dominant side, you might find that it's actually extremely sensitive because of the muscles coming together here. And on your dominant side, if you're using the pecs a lot, maybe it's your mouse arm or your phone hand, but because it's your dominant side, you might be very, very tight through the pecs and in where that insertion is through the side, and it can be so intense. So do be careful. Make sure you're still breathing as you're doing this so that you are not holding your breath. You want to have the breath detoxify the body. So as you're releasing those toxins, as you move through the body and massaging it out, you want to be working and supporting your breath. You want to drink lots of water after this as well, and continue to work your way down. And you may find that you have certain areas that you just have to spend more time working on before you can move on. We're all different in how we hold our tension. We're different in how we hold ourselves as far as posture. So it's important to customize and really work with what your needs are. I'm just working my way back up a little bit here. You can just stop once you get down to the bottom. But there's a few little spots here that need a little extra work. So from here, I'm going to move up to the wall. I'm going to continue for now to use the larger ball, the alpha ball, and I'm going to move the work into where the pecs are. So I'm going to start with the ball right at that hollow, right beneath the clavicle point, right where that insertion is toward the humerus, and it's kind of a soft spot there. Then I'm going to bring the ball along the clavicle, or below the clavicle, but along, right toward the sternum. So using the block here, and you could have that doorway instead to make it a little bit more accessible. I'm going to place the ball in that soft spot and start to work my way toward the sternum. And I'm just working back and forth here and just allowing my body weight to push into it. So because I'm using the wall, you could also do this one on the floor. Using a block would be fine. It's whatever is more accessible, more comfortable for you to work. Working up at the wall is available to many as a more accessible way to get into these areas. So just continuing to work back and forth. Again, make sure you're breathing, you're not holding your breath. And wherever you identify those knots, those triggers, you can hang out there a little longer, lean into it. You might even add a little bit of motion with the arm. So you could abduct the arm away from you and just getting that movement while you've pinned the tissue in place can help to stretch it out even more. You could bring it into extension and just playing around with what and how your body responds, adducting the arm in. And from here, we move on. Now I'm going to bring this up now. So I've started beneath the collarbone. Now I'm going to bring it above. So I'm going to still use the block here and bring that ball right into that soft area here, right at the base of the neck. And I'm going to lean into the ball as I hold the block up. And I'm just going to explore here, a little bit of up and down, a little back and forth, and just massaging out. This isn't too bad. I don't find I need to spend a lot of time there. You might find you need a lot. I try to work on these regularly. So now I bring the ball to really the same level, but just behind the tendons here. And again, I'm leaning into, so there's a little bit more tension at the back for me. So I'm going to lean into it. And again, I could bring the arms in, squeezing them in here, stretches that out. I could bring the arm across as I pin and hold, so I really feel that stretch as I move my arm. I can explore maybe bringing it back to extension, maybe into flexion. And again, Just adding a little up and down, a little back and forth. And from here, I'll release and just set the block aside for now. I can continue to work with a large ball, or I could move to the smaller ball as I bring it up around the top of the shoulder blade. And just working my way diagonally from the top of the shoulder blade, the scapula, toward the spine. So not right on the spine, but just moving in that diagonal line from the outside to the inside. Now, if you find that the larger ball is a little too broad, what I find is that using the smaller ball helps me to zero in to some of the smaller muscles in the back. So quite a different sensation, even though I'm targeting pretty much the same area. It feels completely different just by changing up the size of the therapy ball. So continuing to work my way diagonally across that big area of the scapula toward the spine. I love doing these videos because it's a real treat for me to do this. I try to do this daily, although sometimes I don't have enough time to spend on the area that might need it. So I kind of do more general overhaul of the body. So just readjusting the ball so that I get that entire scapula covered. And again, just hanging out. So once you find those triggers, you can explore movement, pinning those triggers in place. And releasing. From here, I now move on to the upper arm and the deltoids, which kind of cap over the upper arm shoulder. And working my way, again, I can use the smaller balls or I can use the large balls. Start out with this one, and I'm just going to start right at the top here, working my way down the arm. Oops. So from here, I'm just working my way up and down. And here too, just like I did earlier on the lats seam, you can kind of do that back and forth, going with the grain of the tissue and going across the tissue is going to bring different sensations. You can kind of stick to some straight lines across, or you could create some zigzagging as you move your way up and down. And again, it's all about applying as much weight as is comfortable for you to release in there. You can even do some circles. You can do the other side of the arm, starting once again from the underarm and working your way up the arm. So you can see how easily you could do that last seam up against the wall. So here as well, we get into more of the arm. As you turn and face the wall, you could actually get more into the bicep. So you work your way down. And working your way, again, either with the grain of the muscle, the tissue, or going across the grain muscle. The fascia here, it gets real good manipulation. Now I'm going to switch it over to the smaller balls here in the tote. The same sort of movement, but by having the two smaller balls, I get more of an area covered across that upper arm. So again, it's the same up and down motion, and just adjusting to work my way down, applying as little or as much pressure. By bringing the feet further away from the wall, I can really lean into it and get some really good pressure. Keep working my way down toward that elbow. It's all connected. I've done some videos as well. I'll link down below on massaging of the hands and the wrists using these therapy balls. I've done a little bit with a foam roller as well. So from here, I can actually target the tricep. So again, you could use a larger ball. I like to use the smaller ones here, depending on the size of your arm too. Now there are some larger therapy balls. They're called the Plus, the Tuna Plus, and these are the original size that I'm using here. So they're a little bit smaller, so if your arm is larger, you might want to use the larger size, the plus size. And turning toward the wall once again, palm toward the wall as I target the bicep. So all of these muscles are all connected into the shoulder connected into the arm muscles. So it's going to really be beneficial to help to improve your mobility in the shoulder. And if you have the result perhaps of maybe overworking the shoulders, whether you're doing weights or whether you're doing a lot of push-ups, you might end up sometimes with pain in the elbows, and working both on the forearm and the upper arm this way will be really beneficial for that. So that gives you a really good walkthrough of doing one side, and right away, even before doing our benchmark, you can check in and kind of get a really good idea of how one side feels compared to the other as you stand nice and tall, and just allow the arms to rest at your sides. You might feel like one arm is maybe a little bit longer than the other, the shoulder more depressed than the other. So let's check in with our strap or belt as we move back to our benchmark, moving into our shoulder flossing as we once again slide those shoulder blades down the back, come into neutral alignment, and bring the arms back. So you may find that you're able to bring your hands a tiny bit closer together now, and you may find as well that there's so much more ease for the gliding of your arms to move forward and back. So I invite you to go ahead and work on the other side. You can do comparison from there to see how well this works. You can do the video once again if you like, using it as your guide to walk you through the same techniques on this side. Now, if you'd like to see more, there's so many different things that can be done as far as using the therapy balls to help you to really get some great balance into your body and to really help muscle recovery as well. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. As always, I love your comments. You are so kind and wonderful in your comments. Thank you. If you have not subscribed, I'd love it if you consider doing so, and be sure to give me one of these if you liked it. Hit the notification bell so you can check it out, and check me out in the next video. And namaste, my friends.